You're welcome to the program, Voters Forum. I am Wale Oguade, the host of this program. My co-host is on Christmas holidays. But don't worry, I will be able to steer the ship, God helping me, alone, of course. I have people hands in the studio that will be giving me the necessary directions. Be that as it may, I'm Wale Oguade, your host on this program. And Christmas, last week I was telling you about Christmas, that it seems there is nothing in the air. But today, and of course I assured you that by today and throughout the rest of the week, Christmas will be indeed in the air. We can't wish Christmas away. All over the place now, we have traffic, last minute rushes, taking the children out, making provisions for the children and provisions for Christmas. That is how we roll in this country, last minute. And today, we're going to give us a good topic about dividends of democracy. And before we go into the meat of it, let's have the mini feature.
Before the return of democracy in Nigeria in 1999, there were arguments and complaints about non-performance of successive military juntas, which resulted in infrastructural decay, weak institutions, lack of respect to the rule of law and human rights in the country. These anomalies caused more efforts by pro-democracy activists to push for the end of military rule, which indeed was achieved in 1999. And 13 years down the line, Nigeria is still struggling to meet up with development and growth in spite of government efforts and huge financial commitment amounting to several trillions of naira. A closer look at Nigeria's development statistics shows that the country, which has abundant human and material resources, is battling with issues of tribalism, nepotism, corruption, banditry and terrorism that have eroded established values and cultural heritage that should be the stepping stone to development. Despite efforts to successive administration, the country continued to battle challenges of bad road, epileptic power supply, drug abuse, corruption in all strata of government and wanton rigging of elections that are begging for remedies. These, however, encouraged the quest for sectionalism and lopsided sharing of commonwealth of the country and reducing the country's strive for better development. But the current administration believes it has attempted the achievement of dividends of democracy with its strides in the areas of production, auditing, workers' welfare, and fight against cybercrime.
We need to talk to our youths. If we are going to invest in their future to bring about success, progress, and development, they need to hear from us that there is need for mindset, changes of mindset.
Insecurity and systematic corruption are other menaces that have delayed the delivery of dividend of democracy, and the current administration seems resolute to ending the menace to pave way for economic growth and development. With the high inflation rate and lack of employment hitting over 30%, Nigerians are, however, thinking that enough has not been done to deliver the required dividend to the citizenry, in spite of efforts of successive administrations.
I don't want to talk about 23 years. I should talk about 8 years, the ones that have been involved. So whatever gains we have had in the last 23 years, things got destroyed in the last 8 years that President Muhammad Buhari came to power. He turned the economy upside down. He turned the security upside down, and he turned the war against corruption upside down. Whatever gain we have recorded, even before 1999, the ones we have recorded even under the military, everything was smashed in these last 8 years of reign of pain and impunity.
It is difficult for Nigeria to really understand what then is the difference between APC and PDP. Essentially, our own democracy, the greatest impediment to our democracy is that the political party do not have ideology that clearly separate them.
A lot of issues when it comes to issue of insecurity that is majorly ravaging the country today. And not only that, in terms of education also, things has not been perfectly done.
And until these cardinal points in recognizing a genuine democracy align, one will believe it is not a democracy, and realizing its dividend will be a mirage. From Abuja, I am Nnabuchi Oken Nnabuchi reporting for Galaxy Television News.
Welcome back. Dividends of democracy. What is democracy? What is the role of government? Is government make people to suffer, or for them to have a peace of mind? For government to really make things easy for them, to alleviate their suffering, to provide all the necessary things that needs to be done by government, because that's what they have promised. Have we started seeing the promises becoming a reality? All these are issues that we'll look at today. And our guests, we have two guests as usual. We have one, our Zoom guest, who is Professor Wood. And of course, we'll make him a professor very soon. Next year, when we come up, we'll have a program as Voters Awareness Initiative. And of course, we'll inaugurate him. But today, we have Debo Adeniran. He's a comrade, and of course, a human rights activist. He's on Zoom. While we have in the studio with me, Barrister Kingsley Chime, equally a political analyst, and someone who is a grassroots man. Both of them will be looking at the issues of dividends of democracy. I will start with my guest in the studio because I'll be able to control him easily. Of course, I've already warned my guest, comrade, that tell me as soon as I tell him that okay, if he does not, we'll just cut him off. So, comrade, you two are comrade in the making.
Thank you, Mr.
Barrister Chime.
Thank you.
What is this thing now that government should do to the people, particularly now, this youth time? This season is a time of joy, a time of peace, and of course, love.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wale, for having me, and good afternoon, viewers. First and foremost, it's an interesting topic for one to delve into dividends of democracy. Since 1999 up until date, Nigeria has had uninterrupted transition of democratic processes for 23 years. So it's something to be proud of and to be something that is commendable that we have passed through this horrendous 23 years uninterrupted democratic process. But the big question or the big elephant in the room is whether these 23 years of uninterrupted in quote democratic processes have translated into what you term dividends of democracy, or whether the people can actually say that indeed they have seen the benefits of democratic process in Nigeria. We recall that in 1999, when the military, went back to barracks and handed a democratic role in Nigeria, we have been in the process of trying as much as we can to, give that dividends of democracy. And the question is actually, what is democracy? That word was coined from a Greek word, demos, and I think gratus, which means the people and the rule, which literally translates that the democracy must revolve around the people. It's the people that determines, how they are being governed. In our own context, where it translated into electioneering process, where every four years we elect leaders who represent us. So it boils down to representative government, where the people have registered their powers into representatives to determine and pilot the affairs of government. But the question is, have we been able to translate these democratic principles into reality? And the reality is about dividend. What is dividend? If you look at dividends from a corporate perspective, it simply means a kind of profit or profitability, where someone has a shares, for instance, in a company, at every year where the company attains profitability, you are expected to share dividends to your shareholders. And that dividends in this context means the welfare, the generality and the welfare of the people of Nigeria who has elected their representatives, whether they've been able to meet up with the expectations of the people in terms of infrastructure, in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of their general well-being. And of course, during this season where everybody is making inventories or stock of what they have achieved as an individual, as a corporate entity, but for us as a citizen and as a nation, whether we'll be able to say that, yes, these are democratic process, we are making profit or we are making headway. But sincerely speaking, we cannot say with certainty that Nigerians have been able to see the dividends of democracy generally.
The dividends of democracy generally. Yes, it's as if we are given the short end of the stick. Go to some areas. I travel, I go around Nigeria, and I'm sure if I will ask you, maybe from your village, obviously if the road is there, there is no pipe or water. If there's pipe or water, the electricity supply is very, 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 very epileptic. And of course, these are what we would expect that by now we should have. I don't know, Debo, Comrade Adinero, I'm sure your village is well organized. Your village has a pipe or water, good road system all over, and of course electricity, so there's no need of buying a better pass my neighbor. These are things that we think are dividends of democracy, including dispensary. Because when I was a kid, I lived in North. The name of the village is Samaru, Zaria. It's the university town of Ahmadu Bello University. We had a dispensary. I'm sure I've gone around some parts of Nigeria. The dispensary that we have are very, very few, if they still even exist. And those few, they have skeletal services operating there. Comrade, please, can you just weigh in on this?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Democracy has been variously defined, and like your colleague in the studio, well, first I should acknowledge the insignia of Christmas that is radiating around you. It's a good thing that I should see your face today, unlike the previous edition. Yeah, it's a good thing. So meaning that dividend of democracy is already impacting on you positively.
He may load. We'll look at it from the general perspective, yes.
Yeah. Be that as it may, democracy should go beyond what Abraham Lincoln described. Because when you say government of the people, by the people, for the people, it's nebulous. It doesn't have meaning to so many people, and it doesn't show how it should impact on the people. And what I believe democracy should be defined as is that the system of government that satisfies the needs of the majority of the people. In democracy, it is the game of the number, or a game of numbers. A situation whereby only very few people are enjoying the dividends, I mean the proceed, the profit that what we call democratic practice has brought to us is not true democracy. At best, it could be described as pseudo democracy. I believe that what we should be talking about is dividends of governance. Because when you talk about dividends of democracy, we don't have, the system has not fulfilled the ingredients that make a government truly democratic. And that is why since the 80s and 90s, we've been campaigning for democracy. What we meant is that what is existing under the military and the neo-military governance that followed are still not the kind of democracy, and that is why some of us are saying that that we need to have a sovereign national conference, which is the true beginning. I mean, which is the beginning of a true democratic practice, when everybody will have sense of belonging and a constitution that will truly emanate from the people will come. If we had done our constitution by ourselves, we would have said that even the constitution itself is a dividend of democracy, because we are able to, our voices were heard. And then when you look at other elements of democratic practice, voting, okay, people have been denied the opportunity to vote, despite the pretenses to periodic voting. Then look at even population census. If you don't know the number of mouths you have to feed, it is not likely that you will be able to feed them properly. You don't know those to provide for. So the population census has not been coming as at when due. That is a denial of dividends of democracy. The purpose of governance is supposed to be welfare and security of the people. Security goes beyond personal security of life and property. Even food security is a security that governments should guarantee. Job security is a security that government should guarantee. Then the welfare of the people goes beyond provision of infrastructure, even if they are provided. Are we able to use the infrastructures, freely and adequately? Okay, but the infrastructures are not even available. So when you say the purpose of governance is welfare and security of the people, successive governments, both the military and their civilian successors, have failed woefully. So we can't talk about democracy because people don't have a say. Then you look at, as lawyers, you know that Chapter 2 and Chapter 4 of the Constitution is not justiciable. You can't take government to court. If you run to pothole on the highway and your vehicle got damaged, you can't make claims on government. A lot of things. If you don't have access to education, you cannot charge government. You cannot take government to court. That government is under the obligation to provide you with an education. Even healthcare services, you can't hold government down to it. Those are the ingredients of true democracy which we are being denied. So if they make Chapter 2 and Chapter 4 of the Constitution justiciable, then we will be able to assert our rights and we'll be able to hold government down to violation of those rights and corruptive tendencies that leads to denial of people of their rights and dividends of democracy. Children still die under 5. It is not their fault that they came to the world the way they did. Mothers are unable to survive the ordeals, in their various homes because marauders, both day and night, they have been tormenting their lives. So parents are unable to live full and adequate life under a governance. So until we are able to do that, then we will say we are enjoying the good dividends of democracy. Various agencies have not been securing our lives and property. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Sinners have not been punished. So that is why a lot of people continue to commit crimes, even especially those in government, with impunity. So when we are able to circumvent this and take care of all of it, then we can talk about dividends of democracy. But for now, we can only count on dividends or deniers of governance.
Democracy.
Governance to accrue to us.
I like what Prof has said. From what he can see, what we can see is denial, not dividends of democracy. Can we now see these little deniers? Is it possible? Yeah, he is a professor. He has taken it in a professional way. Can you now look at it legally? Of course, he now threw a challenge to us that, of course, Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution is not justiciable. Can we now look at it from the legal aspect and now see how people, maybe we should create the office and we should go for, I'll still come back to him on that, looking at the office of the ombudsman, the office of the citizen, that the citizen can be able to, and now vis-a-vis we look at the issue of local standard. Can we now match the two together quickly?
I think the virtual guest professor has made the point very cogently.
Seriously,
it couldn't have been. I couldn't have made it better. Yes, when my introductory statement, I had mentioned that there are basic elements or principles of democracy. And when you compare those elements with what is obtainable or practicable in Nigeria, you may begin to wonder whether what we practice is democracy. Exactly, because he said it's pseudo democracy, and I'm tempted to agree with him, because one of the basic tenets of democracy is rule of law. citizens' participation,
Yes.
you know, provision of social infrastructure and all of that. He mentioned that part part two of the Constitution is not justiciable, but beyond those unjusticiable parts, the chapter 4, which is even justiciable, how practicable have we been able to implement those sections? We were all here when the 27 lawmakers of the River State House of Assembly decamped from one political party to the other. The Constitution provided for what would happen where such a thing happened under Section 68(1) paragraph G. And up until today, there is no consequences. So there must be sovereignty and supremacy of the Constitution. So we are observing constitutional democracy. We must be seen, not just in words, but in our own actions. So if those elements of democratic ethos are not being seen or felt by citizens, we cannot say that we are practicing democracy in Nigeria as far as I'm concerned. Because until the leaders begin to take responsibilities for their actions and begin to see that they are there based on the authority of the people, you are not there on your own. So, but the kind of politics or democracy we operate in Nigeria has not translated into what we call dividends of democracy. Because when I said earlier that dividends emanate from profitability of a company, so the implication is that for you to enjoy the dividends of democracy, we must be seen as a democratic institution. So one of the ways to improve on this democratic ethos is to strengthen our institutions. I think one of the banes or one of the issues we have in Nigeria is that we have weak institutions and we have strong individuals. Where institutions are incapable of taking decisive decision in certain circumstances. So it is about who knows who, where the power brokers and all of that. So, but we must begin to interrogate our democratic process in Nigeria. We have been there for the past 23 years. There is certainly nothing to show that we are a democratic state. So going forward, we must be able to implement those elements that forms democracy in an ideal society, because we borrowed this democracy from other developed countries. We are still I don't even call Nigeria third world. We are totally undeveloped. So but when we borrow most of this, we also implement those positive aspects of democratic principles.
Okay, thank you so much. We must borrow those positive aspects that are lacking here. In Europe and other countries of the world, you don't see their leaders treating the people as if they are subjects or they are animals or they are lesser beings. Treat them as if they don't exist. Use the state apparatus and state funds to oppress the people. Anyway, comrade, I know that you used to move. There is a project you have, this People's Assembly. Within 5 minutes, can you quickly talk to us about that? Because I know the people, when the people talk, when the people ask questions and they are active, definitely they will have dividends, because those who they have elected into office will really release these dividends to them, not taking it to themselves. I don't think, I'm sure it's in the grapevine that a public officer has more than 500 accounts in his name. If it is so, then that is crazy. Then definitely something is wrong somewhere with our system of governance. Can we talk about your People's Assembly?
Actually, it's open parliament.
Yes, open parliament.
Yes, open parliament. We have state open parliament. We have national open parliament. The aim is to get people educated about what constitutes their rights, their duties to their state or to the country, as it were. We try to let people know that a people united cannot be defeated, and that if they allow themselves to be divided, it means that they are using their own hand to destroy their own humanity. Because once a people allow themselves to be enslaved, like I said the other time, nobody can enslave you without your permission. And if the people know that they are the owners of the instrument of governing, they should know how to use it. So we tell them, we actually ask them, we do pre-tests for them. We administer questionnaires to know what they know about governance. Then we call them into different places where we call grassroots enlightenment program, where we educate ourselves on how to identify rights, how to identify corruption, how to report violation of rights, how to report corruption, how to participate in the prosecution of corrupt leaders, and they are allowed to act as whistleblowers without risking one's life. What to do when rights are being violated, where to go, and when the right to participate in the electoral process is being violated, we teach people what to do, and we get their own reactions too. If projects are being executed in their community, we ask them to take pictorial documentation
Images.
of it, make their own narrative, what they know about the project from the beginning to the end. That is tracking the budget and monitoring the activities of government in various communities. These are what we put together that constitute what we call open parliament. We report of open parliament. We have Lagos Open Parliament, we have Ondo State Open Parliament, we have
Comrade, you know what we'll do? Comrade, this project is a topic for another day, a whole topic. I'm going to give you that whole topic. You're going to educate us on it, and of course, you now have the opportunity of expressing the professorial instinct in you. So we'll do that next time, maybe next week, maybe next time, but you can be sure that you are coming back to teach us on this. So you prepare yourself seriously well for this. But in your closing remark,
thank you.
Just 1 minute, because time is out of us. In your closing remark, the democracy we have, can it be improved on?
Definitely.
1 minute.
Yes. We can. There is always room to improve on any process or any practice.
That's why
we just need, what our leaders need. Are you with me?
Yeah, just 1 minute. Just 20 more seconds. Time is
okay. What
us.
Our leaders need is that political will to implement those projects and processes that will favor the majority of the people and allow people to contribute to the process of governing. Okay, knowing that they are the owners of the instrument of governing, they should be allowed to use it wisely.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time. Please, your passing shots too.
Thank you so much. This program is about voters awareness, and in my own view, it's more of citizens driven. Much as a lot of blames, have been pushed to the leadership of Nigeria, we must understand our responsibilities and our roles as citizens. People. Yes, we must wake up from our docility. A lot of citizens have become so docile that they feel that they are helpless. So we must begin to exert our rights and challenge those whom we have entrusted responsibility to provide those amenities to us. Yes. So enough of this sitting on the fence. A lot of people sit on the fence and feel that they are hopeless. We must begin to interrogate the leadership of this country, the responsibilities bestowed on those who have voted. Exactly. So I think more responsibilities will also go to the citizens to begin to hold these people responsible and accountable. Because when you don't, that is where the leaders will begin to do as they wish. Exactly. So if we must attain those ethos of democracy and begin to reap the benefits of dividends of democracy.
The Prime Minister of the country is in jail now. In fact, about 3 or 4 other countries too. They're in jail now because the people demanded, they saw that that man took advantage of the state to their own detriment.
But that cannot happen in Nigeria today. Somebody who was voted on a political party legislator and you move to another political party, there's no consequences. The Constitution says under Section 68 that that seat is vacant. So let us
hold your fire.
Thank you.
Don't worry, I've seen that you and Comrade Both of you have formed a tag team, and I'll bring you back by the grace of God, so that indeed we will not iron this thing out. It may even be a 2, 3, 4 series, continuous, so that we'll do this very well. Because the way you are bringing it out is even beyond my own imagination when this topic was conceived. I want to thank you, Barrister Kingsley Chime, for finding time out of this time. I know as an Igbo man, you are preparing for Christmas seriously. And I know my brother, comrade, Professor Debo Adeniran too, want to thank you for coming on the program. You can be sure that we'll bring both of you together. God will helping us, we'll bring both of you together. Please, before I forget, comrade, send my Christmas chicken. Oh, I know you are rearing one. Don't be the same with my clothing. This dressing is in vogue. I'm just hopeful. Yes. So, yes, by their account you shall know them. So on behalf of the president and management of this station, I wish you all a Merry Christmas. We'll talk about the New Year next week, but before that, we'll be looking towards Christmas, and I pray that God will see us through Christmas merrily.
Amen.
So shall it be.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Have yourself a Merry Christmas.